my friends posted a beautiful photograph of some bluebells in a wood near to her home, and as we can't get out to see them this year, I thought I would have a go at capturing them in alcohol ink. I've taken the photograph and I've done myself a little sketch. I've moved things around a little bit so that I've got some idea of where I want things to go. Now the ink is very unpredictable and chances are it won't go anything like I've planned here, but we'll see what turns out. First of all, I have my alcohol, in this bottle here. I have several colours of ink. I've got Sailboat blue in the Ranger and Pinata's Sapphire blue. I have a couple of greens. One is Ranger's Citrus, the other is one that I have mixed up. I have a Sunbright Yellow by Pinata, a mixed brown, and purple Twilight again by Ranger. I have some little foam pads here that have already been used once. I have some small brushes. Oh, this is Kirkland photo paper and I'm using the reverse side of it. I'm going to start by putting some alcohol in where I want the sky. Then there's another essential piece of my equipment. This is a water brush, but it's actually filled up with neat alcohol. There's a squeeze to clean the brush head. Actually, it's got blue on it, which is what I'm going to use, so I'm not too worried about that. Now, I want a little bit of Sailboat blue. Oh. And fast forwarding through the painting of the sky, I do lots of adding colour, taking it off with a brush, dabbing with the sponge, brushing again, and then putting a bit of alcohol on to try and get the sky colour the right density. When I'm happy, I blow it to dry it. I then put the far distant hills in, blowing it to dry it quickly, taking out the bottom edge to lighten that slightly to make it into more of a field. Using the lighter green, I form one of the distant fields. I add some alcohol and then the yellow to put in the field of rape. This needs to be quite a bit lighter so you can see me taking it off with the alcohol filled brush. A little bit of brown going in for this distant field. And a small amount of the darker green again for this field that's a little nearer to us. I'm now using some alcohol markers to delineate the edge of that field. Tiny drops of the dark green start to form the trees. The brown was a bit too intense, so I've taken a bit of colour off there. A little more yellow in the field. Now I'm using the intense inks that have been allowed to dry to add a little bit of texture to these trees. Touch up the foreground field. . And we're ready to add the path. This is yellow and the brown. Spreading these together with a small brush, actually it's the water-filled brush, now I'm adding greens and blues to the areas of bluebells. This will just be the very background base colour of them. I'm spreading it around with the water brush. Just tidying up the field. Now I'm going to work a bit more on the foreground. I'm putting colour onto the little sponge, testing it on my cloth before attacking painting itself. I'm doing the same down the front here. The reason for tapping it on the tissue first is so that it is not quite so big spats of colour. Here I've got alcohol on a toothbrush and I'm spattering. As you can see, it's moving the alcohol inks that I've already put down and making some lighter patches. Brush is very useful for this. Now I'm going back to the sponge with a bit of the purple and the blue and going over the areas of bluebells again. A little touching up of the path here with the water brush, which is actually filled with alcohol. Right, at this point I think I'm going to add the trees. A very intense colour that I have in these bottles here. An intense brown. I'm sweeping the trees in quite quickly with the small brush, using it on its side to get the width of the trunks. Want them to be a little on the wobbly side. Too straight and they wouldn't look natural. Adding a smaller tree behind the ones that we've already drawn, and I'm adjusting the colours with the alcohol-filled water brush. I'm making the left-hand side slightly lighter. Darkening the right-hand side again until we get the look of 3 dimensions in the trunks. Sorry about my head here, this is quite precise work and I need to get close. The very intense brown is being used with the tiny brush to add some more branches to the trees. Again, wiggly is better. Final few branches with the marker pen. Now I've just sponged in a small amount of the pale green to show the start of a few leaves appearing on the trees. And I think that's finished.